Hello, my friends. It is that time of the week again where I will be going live and having a conversation with someone I deem to be an expert in the field of dating, of romance, of relationships, and it's someone who I'm so excited to have this conversation with because I first got introduced to Ken's work when I started training as a Calling in the One coach with Catherine Woodward Thomas a few years ago, and she first introduced us to Ken's work, and it's so beautiful, so beautiful. And I know we've got 45 minutes with Ken today, so I'm going to add him to the conversation as quickly as dive straight into the good stuff together. So hopefully Ken's received my request to join, and we should be speaking with him soon. But I'm really excited for this conversation with you and for you to hear about the beautiful work that Ken does. It's filled with so much integrity, so much beauty, and it's just from the heart. And here he is, Ken. Hello.
Hello, so good to be here. Thank you.
So good to be with you. I'm so excited because I was just saying before you came on that I really rate your work so highly because when I went on the journey of becoming a Calling in the One coach with Catherine Woodward Thomas a good few years ago now, she spoke so highly of your work. I remember you coming to have one of the bonus conversations with
Yeah.
Catherine, and all of us coaches in the waiting, listening to you intently. And I went on to read your book, and it very much formed part of my journey as a coach, but also my journey to become a fearless dater. I'm the fearless dating coach, and
Yes.
my journey was born out of I think similar-ish struggles to you, in the sense that you speak of yourself as being, or you referred to yourself as being chronically single for most of your adult life, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I think the uh, language that we use around how we were when we were single and when we are single is really interesting. So I would love to hear what your journey was and how you became a deeper dater. And just wanted to say that I'm getting a bit of feedback, and I know that was impacting some of the listeners when we had a live a few weeks ago. So do you by any chance have some headphones that you could pop on?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just take a moment. Can I pause my camera or
Um,
something while I go
I
grab it?
Yeah, well, I think I can. Can I? Oh, I'm not sure if I can get. Oh, don't worry. Just put it down. Put the phone down. That's fine. I'll hold the fort until you find your
It's
your
a deal.
headphones.
Okay.
Brilliant. And I see some comments coming through already. So Meredith, Ken Page, your work is so impactful and has totally changed everything for me. Man, that is so beautiful to hear, Meredith. And please do share in the comments what impact you feel that it's had on your life, what you've been able to create as a result of doing Ken's work. I think it would be so inspiring for anyone that's joining this evening or the daytime, Ken's time, that is new to Ken's work. As I was saying at the start, I feel that his work resonates so deeply with me because I think it's interesting that the names of the work that we do are so similar as well. Deeper dating and fearless dating. I think they come from a really similar place of, do you know what? I'm just going to drop the bullshit. I'm going to stop pretending to be something and someone that I'm not. And I am going to bring the fullness of who I am, the I guess the kind of more like warts and all, right? All of me. I'm going to take myself on this dating journey, and I'm going to allow my dates, I'm going to allow the people that I meet to truly see me. And I often refer back to a moment when I was dating, when I was going on my fearless dating journey. And I really started to embrace this idea of I'm just going to show up as my truest self, unapologetically, unashamedly. And there was a moment when we were on a first date together, and he recognized this in me and he reflected it back to me. And he said, you know, I love that you're so confident. I love that it seems like you just don't give a shit about what other people think. And he was so right. And it was such a moment of elation for me, because I really felt in that moment recognized and seen for the very first time as me, as Artie, not as the person that I had thought that I'd have to sort of twist and turn and contort myself into being in order to have people feel attracted to me. So that is why I find myself so attracted to Ken's work, deeper dating work, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with him when he's back with his headphones, so that we're not getting any feedback and you can enjoy listening and interacting with these lives here. But let me say hi to everyone that's joined us. Hey, Match Made in Scotland. Hey, Brown Girls Guftagu. We've got Meredith who commented on Ken's work. Food Bay Eats, Rebecca, Days of Fleur, Carly Story. Let me all wave to you guys. Mary, Roma, and Aditya as well. Lovely to have you all here and be with us. If you do have questions, I know we've only got Ken for a short amount of time here today, but I'm going to try my very best to get him onto my podcast as well, where we can continue the conversation for a bit longer. But if you do have any questions or any comments, do leave them in the comment box. And if you have a question specifically, you can press on that question mark as well, and then we can display that question for people. Hey, Ken, you're back in the room.
Oh, yes, I can't find my earbuds.
Oh, no worries. Okay, we shall persevere.
Yes, can you, is it better now? I lowered the volume a little bit.
Oh, yes, actually. Oh, hang on. Let's see. That I think that feels okay. That feels okay. We'll persevere. And like I was saying to everyone when you were away, that because we've got a short amount of time here together, right? So we'll make sure that we continue this conversation on the Fearless Dating podcast. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. All right. So it would be lovely for us to just explore that term that you used for yourself, chronically single.
Yes, yes.
What did that mean to you?
So what it meant was that I was one of these people that people would say to me, I don't think you really want a relationship because you're always single. And I knew that they were just beyond wrong. I wanted a relationship desperately, desperately. But everyone I was interested in wasn't interested in me. So it just brought up a deep sense of some kind of flaw, some kind of lack, something wrong with me that I just fought against in a million different ways, all of which failed pretty miserably. And what I thought it was, the thing that I thought it was that made me chronically single was that I wasn't attractive enough. The thing that it actually was that my attractions needed rewiring. That was the issue. And I had no idea how to do that, nor did I know the great secret of rewiring your attractions, which is the honoring of the qualities that you've kind of been embarrassed about your whole life. The parts that are the most tender, the most vulnerable, the most fierce, the ones you've gotten in the most trouble about. Mm-hmm. So what do we do with those parts? We airbrush them. We try to become more attractive, and that's the path to hell. That is the path. And this is a really, really interesting thing. Not only does that make us insecure, but it actually changes the people we're romantically attracted to. The degree to which we need to change these qualities that I call core gifts, like the deepest parts of ourselves, the degree to which we think we need to change them is the degree to which we are actually going to become attracted to people who don't honor us and can't commit and hurt us. So it's a terrible path to pain. It's pain leading to pain. But what it looks like is I'm just looking really hard for a great relationship. So there's wisdom that needs to be gained here. And that's been the heart and soul of what I had to do. I had to backtrack and discover who I really was and treasure those things and then be that guy, be that person. And then when you do that, everything changes. Your search for love changes, your self-love changes, your world changes, and your attachment style begins to heal. Because the root of an unhealed attachment style may be in early trauma, but what it really is currently is in the way you love yourself. So, honoring these parts of ourselves changes everything. That was the journey that I had to go on. And so as I took that journey, which began for me with a wonderful therapist, and in that environment, I learned to love who I am. As that happened, and I just didn't understand why at the time, but as that happened, I started becoming attracted to people who were kinder and more decent and more available and less screwed up. I had no idea that those two things were connected at all, but they're deeply connected. And so my journey, I had to become a student of my bad wiring so I could rewire. And then who knew that that was the journey to self-love and spiritual development. And I'll just say one last thing, and to be really real, to that rocky, complicated path of discovering all the ways that I pushed love away or ran from it without even knowing it, which just makes me human.
Yes. That's it, actually. There's a point in your book where you talk about it's all well and good doing the personal development work, right?
Right,
But
right.
we have to remember the humanity of us on this journey.
So true, so true. And I guess that's the key to the fearless teachings that you do, is that fearlessness is not disconnecting from your humanity to be a super person.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
the embracing of your humanity. And I have to say that that's so important. Like, people think that it's just an inner journey, but it's not. It's an outer journey. You got to do stuff and you got to get out there, and it's hard. And the lessons of bravery and fearlessness are very important, deep ones.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you're teaching them.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot because it is exactly this journey that happens in parallel. You're doing the inner work and you're shifting things and you're discovering more and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper within yourself. But at the same time, you're meeting up against these things in the outer world through the people that you meet. And I'm sure your clients and the people that have read your book and have gone on the deeper dating journey in some form with you have found this, that their lives have expanded, not just their dating lives, but they in their lives have expanded because they've had the opportunity to connect with these aspects of themselves and bring them to all their relational dynamics.
Yes, yes. And that is the key. It's what I call core gifts, which
Mm,
are those parts of you that are the most intimate, true, the inner petals of your being
mm,
that we think we can hide. But when we do, it's deeply to our detriment in so many ways, because there's an emptiness then.
mm,
And that emptiness always gets filled with masochistic situations. These are just, this is what I call the deeper physics of dating. That it's such a deep and rich journey of development and healing. But I want to say one other thing too, which is that it's all made much more difficult by environments that are cold and unfriendly. The world of dating is a culture of unkindness. It's not based on a lot of spiritual and emotional maturity. And we have to bring that ourselves.
yes.
And
Yes.
that's the work that we share, is teaching people to do that. But that's also why I've devoted the last few years to creating deeperdating.com, which is a platform based on these principles so that people meet in an environment online where they get to talk about their favorite pets and the things that motivate them and inspire them and the books that have touched them in a framework that is curated to be safe and warm and inspiring. Because no dating environments are curated to be warm and safe and inspiring. Well, let me not say none. There's a growing movement. But so that's kind of what I've devoted myself to, because no matter how bad, if I was as terrible a dater as I was all those years ago, and I went to a deeper dating event, I would have had so much of a better chance still of finding somebody, because my circuitries of decency and humanity, those were all there. I just covered them up in this ugly, cold dating world.
Yeah. And that you
Yeah.
speak to that so well in the book as well, of like how the dating culture, the world around us has very much informed us that we are the ones that have to change. We're the ones that have to look at, or at an aesthetic level or a personality level of, say these things, look like this, show up in this place in order to meet someone. It's not going to be your perfect partner, but it'll be someone at
Right,
least.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So feeding that scarcity monster, feeding that part
Well
of you
said.
that thinks, oh my God, I'm never going to be with anyone. So let me twist and contort myself to the point of absolute discomfort in order to meet someone that I am not compatible with in the slightest. But hey, do you know what? It's better than nothing,
That's right. That
right?
is right.
But
And that's like, oh,
please go
go
on.
ahead. Sorry.
No, please go on.
Oh, well, that's just, what you're saying is so interesting, because when we shut the eye of our discrimination, something really interesting happens. Like the question of, is this person right for me? Is this person safe for me? Is this person good for me? When we don't ask that, but we turn the question into, do they like me? Am I good enough? A cascade of negative things happen, including being deeply drawn to the wrong people and trying to get them to love us right. Because we've engaged in a circuitry, the degree to which it's a deep formula, the degree to which we don't treasure and dignify those parts of ourselves and lead with them, our truest parts, to that degree we're going to get sucked in again and again to painful, unhealthy relationships. It's an amazing thing. It's sad, it's painful, it's frustrating, but it's also very hopeful, because it provides the solution. And the solution is that essential self-love. And there's one question everybody can ask themselves in their dating life that's a really big deal. And the question is this, and I think it's the one great question: does my soul feel safe with this person? And when that becomes your question, you align differently. Your entire being aligns differently, and it aligns around a sense of dignity and self-honoring. And let me tell you, the answer is going to be no to that question, a lot more than we might like. But it's okay. It's okay, because that's how we find the 1% of people who are gold. And actually, that doesn't mean you have a 1% chance of finding that person. That means when you put your commitment on finding only that rare person, you speed your path incredibly. And there's great, actual, solid research to back the truth of that up.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, because I so often try to connect the dots for fearless daters and anyone that sort of joins me on this journey, as to remember the gravitas of what you're trying to create. For the vast majority of people that come on this fearless dating journey with me, it is that beautiful, lifelong, committed relationship that they want, that they can be all of themselves in.
Yeah.
And in order to find that takes quite the treasure hunt, right? That doesn't just land in your lap.
No, that's
Right?
right. It takes work.
It really
Sometimes it
does.
doesn't take work.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
but I want to say one thing that I think it does take. Like, I just think, like, it's really important to look for people who share your values and your interests and your passions. That's a really important thing for me. Um, I was a single dad. I am an adoptive parent, and I adopted my child as a single dad. He was an infant, and the place I found my husband was in an event for gay parents, gay families. I believe in this so deeply online, even during COVID times, look online for events and communities with people who share what matters most to you. It's a
Yes.
really smart move that we don't learn.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I'm so glad that you said that, and I echo that completely, because I was sharing it, I think, in a webinar a couple of weeks ago, as to take a long, hard look at your life as it is during these times and ask yourself, where are there opportunities? So often there are more opportunities than we give ourselves the chance to realize, right? Like with that group of friends, well, what do you love to do with them? And is there something else that you can supplement in your life that will allow you to create that connection with perhaps a new bunch of people? What music? And you speak about this a lot in the book, right? Of like
Yeah.
that when you listen to certain pieces of music or you watch a film and those feelings arise within you, they are pointing to your core gifts, aren't they?
Exactly. So true. Yes.
Yeah. So could you speak a bit more to the journey of someone identifying their core gifts? What does it mean and how can they start to unearth them?
Yes. Well, this is something I speak about a lot in my book. And later on, I'll tell you how you can get, the first two chapters of the book. Well, actually, just by going to deeperdatingpodcast.com and joining my mailing list. And in those two chapters are all the exercises to discover your core gift. But I can present the basic concept here.
That would be
And
wonderful.
yeah, I'd love to give everyone an exercise that takes 2 days. It's about 2 days long, and all you need is don't change your life at all, but have a journal or have your phone. And in a 2 day period, notice the things that hurt you in your interactions with the world. We give short shrift to that. We think, oh, I'm too sensitive. I took this to heart too much. What's wrong with me? I have to get over this. And we don't honor the fact that there's a message embedded in the things that hurt us that we really must. The degree to which we don't dignify that is the degree to which we're going to be susceptible to being hurt like that again and again and again. So you look, what are the things that hurt me the most in my interactions? What does that say about what matters most to me in my interactions? It will tell you what matters most to you. Those are the things that are your core gifts. The other question that you ask, and you just make notes about this during those 2 days, and the other thing you ask yourself is, what are the things that fill my heart in my interactions, that give me a sense of peace, that give me a sense of beauty, of intimacy, of connectedness? What are those? And what does that say about how I'm built and what's important to me and what's at the core of who I am? And you think about that each time you honor those moments of joy and of hurt. And you think, what does this tell me about who I really am? At the end of 2 days, you pick out the key themes that happened again and again. And trust me that you will find themes that happen again and again and again. Those themes point to your deepest core gifts, because our core gifts are the places where we get hurt the most and where we feel the most joy and depth and passion. And I believe that, what you teach is based on your knowledge of your core gifts. Fearless dating. I'd love to hear from you how that whole mission connects to your core gifts, because that's going to be a gorgeous illustration.
I think for me, one of the things that hurt me most deeply and my journey to becoming a fearless dater was my very fractured relationship with my body. Because from the age of 5 up until way into my adult years, I would consistently hear that there's something wrong with the way that you look, right? You're too skinny. Are you anorexic? Does your mother not feed you enough? Why do you look like that? And that was constant on repeat throughout my life. And so I built this inner relationship with my body of there is something wrong with me because everyone else is telling me that there's something wrong with me. No one else really looks the way I do. And that in a similar vein to how you felt you were chronically single, I felt that my life was barren and devoid of any male interest because I didn't find myself attractive. So how on earth would someone else find me attractive?
Yes.
And so my fearless journey was very much about going out into the world as myself, wearing the things that I wanted to wear, and feeling that fear of this feels so uncomfortable to me right now. Part of me does not want to be wearing this dress, even though I love it. Part of me doesn't want to wear it because the date's going to see how skinny I am, or my date's going to see how big my nose is or how hairy I am or whatever it is. And that was consistently the dialogue that was going on within me. But I had to meet it and I had to carry on regardless. I had to have that conversation with myself of, do you know what? Yes, you feel this fear. Yes, there's like probably 80% of you right now that doesn't want to walk out that door and doesn't want to go on that date. But that 20% of you knows that it's so damn important that you're unraveling, you're unfolding, your ability to be so much more is going to happen if you choose that 20% and you feel
Yes.
that fear, and
Yes.
to have a conversation with my fear as opposed to make it the controller of my life. So
Yes.
that was my, I guess, my interaction. My pain came through what people thought of my body, what I thought of my body, but it became a gift because I was able to use it to create my fearless journey.
That was very powerful. That is so, I mean, that's just so great. And that is a fearless journey. And I love like the concreteness of what you're saying, that it was specifically around your body type um and somehow finding the beauty in your body in a place where you had been shamed so much ended up being the key. Like being able to find that love and that sense of beauty of your own body in exactly the place. Like for me, growing up a gay man, um, with Holocaust survivor parents, like my vulnerability, my softness was the most mortifying thing about me. Then coming out and coming up in the gay world where masculinity was so prized, well, the world where masculinity is so prized, but then in the gay world where it's so prized in its own way, all of those things were very similar to what you described about your body. For me, there was a shame point, a real shame point. That was the thing I had to cover up, which I did, which led me to being attracted to people who stepped on me forever. And then this journey, this beautiful journey, which gives me so much hope. Like what we're describing, I personally feel like speaks to a blueprint of what the world is that is very hopeful. Like, take this hero's journey and watch what happens. And for me, it was around my vulnerability and deep sensitivity. And when I learned to claim that and honor it, and thank God for my teaching, because my teaching, the thing I was most embarrassed about in my dating life was the thing that my clients loved most of all and found the most healing. So when I was able to actually translate that to my overall life, I started meeting kinder people. I would have fled my husband a million times over because he is not mean. And so, hence, in the past, that would have not been attractive enough to me. Not that I sought out meanness, it wasn't that kind of direct and extreme, but I loved the spice of that coldness, that insensitivity, mixed with moments of gorgeous, glorious availability. That was what I looked for. Um, But as I did my fearless journey, just like your fearless journey, but in another arena, my attractions changed and my luck changed finally in my
Mm.
dating life.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, and I think it resonates with me because yeah, it's the relationship that I had prior to my fearless journey was I searched for that confidence in my body, that attraction in my body, in my partner. And so when he went away, the attraction and the confidence went away, as opposed to when I took myself on the fearless journey and then I had a relationship with someone who I thought was ridiculously attractive. And normally I would have fled in the other direction of this person is too attractive for me. Look at his body. Look how beautiful it is. I'm not worthy of that. It then turned into, well, I love and I appreciate his body at the same time as I love and appreciate mine. And this is a chance for us to enjoy in that together. It was just such a different, because then when that relationship ended and we went our separate ways, the great thing was that this time my confidence and my love for my body didn't walk out the door with him. It stayed with me.
Exactly. It's like you don't get to keep the crown, but I get to keep the kingdom.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. I love that so
Mhm.
much. That
Mhm.
is so beautiful. And I think this is the beauty of this journey, because I think it's Jay who said in the comments, you need to love yourself first before you can go and love someone else. And I think there's merit to that, but there's going to be times on your deeper dating journey, on your fearless dating journey, where you don't always love yourself, right?
Oh, yeah, and I have something to say about that. I have something
Mm.
to say about that. Like, I want to make room for, you know, Winnicott, who is a brilliant psychiatrist and theorist about human development, um, came up with this concept that saved a generation of moms. This was at the time that psychotherapy was like coming into vogue, where Freud's work was coming up, and all these moms were like, oh no, like all of this horrible stuff is happening inside of my kid, and I've got this horrible, difficult stuff. How am I not going to just traumatize my child forever? And what Winnicott said was all of that theory stuff is true, but there's such a thing as good enough mothering. And that means like you love your kid. You take care of them. You teach them the best things that you know. You're pretty consistent. You work on yourself. You listen to them. That's good enough mothering or good enough parenting. And it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And I want to say there's a certain point of good enough self love where, like in a basic way, you love these parts of yourself and you commit to being brave and fearless, and that's enough. And you can do it really imperfectly.
Mm.
Um, I wouldn't be being honest if I didn't say that there are so many deep places where I hit my lack of self love, where I hit my fear of intimacy. I hit them all the time. I say this all the time. There is not a day that goes by that I am not humbled by my clay feet when it comes to my ability to love.
Mm.
And so I want to say something about like, so what do you do when you're facing that? What do you do when you're facing the places you don't love yourself? And there's an image that I think is really beautiful, and it's an image of cupped hands. So if you picture like holding your hand out and holding something, and your hand is completely flat, like you could even try it, like your hand is completely flat. You picture holding that thing. There's no tenderness in it. You're just a receptacle for this object.
Mm.
And if you take your hand and you squeeze that thing really tight, there's no air, there's no space. But if you take your two hands and cup them, there's a quality of holding that allows space. And I try to remember as much as I can when I hit these humbling points where I'm not loving myself, where I'm stuck. Can I hold this with cupped hands? Can I hold this with the cradling of my humanity and my imperfection and the longitudinal quality, the evolutionary quality of this journey that doesn't end? If I can hold this stuck point with cupped hands, I am gold. It's going to heal. It's going to transform. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to grow. But if I hold it with hands that are cold and judgmental, or hands that squeeze it too tight and try to get it to change, I'll be stuck.
Mm.
So that to me is the ultimate wisdom for self-holding, is cupped hands. Am I
Mm.
holding myself with cupped hands, with that kind of space, but also care? If I am in what I call my gift zone. I am connected to my gifts in a deeply human way. It's actually a high state of spiritual evolution to let ourselves be that human.
I love that because
Mm,
the way that resonates with me is I feel like it's about staying in the room, right? Staying in the room, even though everything around you may feel chaotic, it may feel uncomfortable, it may feel challenging, and making sure that we don't give into that temptation to walk out the door and walk away from it, right?
right, right, yeah. Or hate ourselves, which is another way to walk. To have like
Yes,
like a little self-hate vacation. Oh, I'm going to go on a jaunt of self-hate. Maybe
yeah,
that'll help here. You know,
yes,
yes, not to
yes.
do that either.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think it's an important journey for us to stay in that room to be cupping that particular discomfort
Yeah.
that we may be feeling, because that's going to be the thing that also teaches us to discern between when it's uncomfortable and perhaps dangerous or detrimental to us, right? Versus when it's just uncomfortable and it's part of our growth. It's the thing that helps us discern that, I believe.
Oh, that's really deep. I need to take a minute to think about that. I want to take a moment. That's true. It's like that's the root of being able to discern. And then also, I guess you can discern then more and more. Where is this my stuff? Really my stuff? And where is it that I'm not being treated right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah, because that's like so important too. And here's what I want to say. I really believe that for most of us who are in, reasonably good touch with reality, the majority of times we feel that something's wrong in the environment is because it actually is. Now, might we be triggered to hold that in an exaggerated way by past trauma? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can't acknowledge, yeah, there's something off there, especially highly sensitive people, because we end up in a room and everyone is fine and we're like, oh, I don't feel good. Something's
Yeah.
wrong here. That's a gift, but most people don't have that gift. So it's so important that we start out by saying, if I think there's something wrong here, there probably is.
Mm.
Yeah.
So important. And that's a muscle that needs to be developed. It needs to be practiced. And if we're too quick to run, then of course, as we've experienced in our own lives, this thing will keep showing its head until we're actually willing to interact with it. Right? That
Yes, yes,
interaction is
yes.
so important for our development. And so I know that, we need to bring this conversation to a close quite soon, but it leads me to one part of your work that I think has stuck the deepest with me. And I've been able to share with my fearless dating clients as well. And it very much ties into what we're talking about here, which is attractions of inspiration versus
Mm-hmm.
attractions
Mm-hmm.
of deprivation. So,
Yeah.
could you speak to that a bit more? Because that is just pure gold.
I think it's so hugely important. I think, and I say this in the book, I say, if there's one thing that you're going to get out of everything I teach, let it be this.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really true. So, yeah, and that was actually the piece that Oprah excerpted from my book, that exact piece.
Mm.
Um, so I'll tell it through my story. So I was attracted to cocky kind of guys, like bad boy kind of guys, like arrogant guys, guys that, you know, um, did not have this intense and almost painful empathy that I experienced. And so I was attracted to these guys that were like bad boy types and not that nice and sexy as hell, but for reasons that weren't necessarily good ones, again and again. And I thought that I was just crippled by this type that I had. And I was. And I remember one day saying to my closest friend, am I the most crippled by type person you ever met? And he said, Ken, you are. You're the most stuck into a particular type of anyone I know. So this is what I came from. It was not good. It was not good at all, and it wasn't hopeful at all. And I thought that was who I was until I remember having this revelation. I don't know how it happened, but I remembered one of the first people I ever truly fell in love with in high school, who was a kind and decent and loving and spiritual being. He radiated goodness. I thought, wait a minute, I was totally attracted to him. Does that mean that I could have another circuitry of attraction in me? Is that possible? And I thought, yeah, I could be attracted to somebody for those reasons of deep spirituality. I have to be physically, attracted too, but those qualities could pull me. They just pull me in a really different way. And it's a way that somehow touches me even more deeply than those other kind of guys. And that was where I developed this concept of these two circuitries of attraction, which I had and which most of us have. So one is what I call attractions of deprivation. And that's like the scratch the itch almost type. Like they almost are attracted enough to you. They almost can commit. They're almost there. They almost treat you right. And then they don't. And you cannot change that. They almost don't drink too much. And it's so seductive because it hits the place where we don't love ourselves. So the way we translate that is not, oh, that's an attraction of deprivation. The way we translate that is, oh, he doesn't love me enough for very obvious and clear reasons that I'm completely in agreement about. So I have to fix those things. And that is the circuitry that keeps us stuck there. A friend of mine says, dating is like a shoe store. You want to walk out with a pair of shoes that's comfortable from the beginning, not one you think will ultimately be comfortable. And it's really true. So attractions of deprivation are the uncomfortable shoes that look spectacular and you feel like, well, maybe one day they'll fit right.
Yeah.
But we're talking about character issues here, and those don't change. Character issues don't change except slowly and over long periods of time, and only with huge commitment. The other kind of attraction circuitry that we have is what I call attractions of inspiration. And every one of us has that. And that is when we can be, that's like the circuitry that gets clicked off when someone's goodness just touches us so deeply. Where at the moment that they could be an asshole, they're kind and they're decent. A way that they look at you that has a kindness that just really moves you. A way that there's a commitment to truth, like they'll be truthful, but in a decent way, even when it's hard. And your heart swells when you meet someone like that and you're attracted to them. And when you get those two things, an attraction of inspiration and a physical attraction, and it's a match that can happen, that's what you want to build your life on. It's a happiness that is so rich and real and sustainable. One is fool's gold and one is gold. And if we don't know the difference, we'll keep pursuing attractions of deprivation because they're spicy and sexy and neon lit and obvious. Now, there are the wise people that don't make that mistake. They know that they're looking for an attraction of inspiration from the beginning, but that's not most of us.
Yeah.
And we're not trained to do that. And I will just say one other thing. Online dating trains us not to do that. It trains us to look for the next hottest scratch the itch type. And that's the path to pain. So thank you for letting me bring up that one last important point.
Oh, thank you, Ken. I mean, yeah, it's life-changing work, and I can see in the comments, it's been something that has impacted many people here. And there is a question here from Miss Vivi saying, how do you break away from those? So I think she means the attractions of deprivation there. Have you got a quick soundbite that you can leave us with?
I do. I absolutely do. Don't try to do this alone. I'll give you a tip for the alone is to actually do an act where you remind yourself of the things that have not been okay. And it's actually a practice that you'll need to do again and again. But you need close friends that get it and support you because it's like being addicted to alcohol. It is not easy. It hurts. I remember when I was moving close to ending an attraction of deprivation, someone said to me, it was so wise. He said, Ken, it's going to feel like amputating your arm. It's going to hurt so much, but you got to do it. That really helped.
Yeah, again, it's that that necessary work that doesn't always feel good, but man, what lies on the other side of it is
That's right.
powerful and expansive and beautiful. So I think that's why the work that we get to do, you know, the fearless dating work is done in groups because that support, one of the things that we
A
hear
hundred
time and
percent.
time again is like,
A
I feel like
hundred
I'm
percent.
doing this on my own. Am I the only one struggling? And as you said in your book, you felt like you were the one with the defective gene, and for me, I felt like I was the one that didn't have keys to the club that everyone seemed to have entry into. But
Yes,
no, once
yes.
you find that group of people with which you can go on this journey with, and that will support you without judgment, without criticism, and really hold you, and you can hold each other, man, is that a game changer. Uh,
Absolutely.
I think that's what's so beautiful about your work and the way that you encourage the sharing of this journey with others, which is so, so important. But I'm aware of the time, Ken. I appreciate you so deeply for being here with me. And I hope this is the one conversation that sparks off many between us, and we can go on a longer conversation and longer exploration together to dive in a bit deeper together.
Those things all sound wonderful because I think that our work is really aligned, and I love your emphasis on bravery and
Mm.
fearlessness. And for those that want to know more about my work, they
Yes.
can just go to deeperdating.com. If you are single, I encourage you to go there. We're actually starting doing events in the UK now.
Oh,
So,
brilliant.
yes, I'm very excited about that.
Oh,
Just
fantastic.
beginning, just beginning. And more, we're having a growing number of people on the site. So that's deeperdating.com. Deeperdatingpodcast.com is my podcast. And if you go there, you can join my mailing list. And both of those places, you can join my mailing list, but get the first 2 chapters of my book, which will teach you how to discover your own core gifts. Oh, and of
Fantastic.
course on social media,
Yes.
Deeper Dating. Yeah.
Yes, here. Make sure that you give Ken a follow here on Instagram, and I think you have a Facebook page as well that people can
Facebook
join up
page for
to.
Deeper Dating. We just
Yeah,
finally put that up. Yes, yes. As
fantastic.
well as Twitter and LinkedIn.
You're everywhere. And so you should be, because this work is so powerful, so meaningful, and I'm so grateful that you joined here with me today, and I look forward to us continuing this conversation. Thank you so much to
Thank you.
everyone that joined us, for your comments, and do follow both Ken and I. I think there's so much that can fearless dating and deeper dating can bring to your dating lives, and
I love it.
I
Fearless
love it.
Deeper Dating. It's great.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a combination, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ken. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm going to put my feet up now for the rest of the evening.
Oh, you enjoy. And
Yes.
thank you, everyone. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. Take care. All the best.
Bye bye.
Bye.